Welcome to the Board Business Channel. Today, we're heading over to Taiwan to check out a company that, well, let's just say they do a little bit of everything.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about the Youngtae Engineering Group, and this one comes straight from our friend Steve.
Oh, nice.
The Executive Director of the Arizona, Taiwan office.
You know, Steve, he's been on a mission to connect awesome Taiwanese businesses with the U.S. market.
Yeah, and he's got a real knack for finding these hidden gems.
He does?
Like, he keeps sending us these companies, we're like, wait, they make that too?
Right.
Youngtae is the perfect example. So before we get into the details, give us the overview.
Oh,
What's
yeah?
the deal with this Youngtae Engineering Group?
Okay, so picture this. It's the 1950s. Taiwan's economy is taking off.
Okay.
And this guy, Tae, comes onto the scene.
Right.
Founds Youngtae, starts building this business empire that spans across industries.
Right.
We're talking heavy electrical equipment, hotels, logistics,
Yeah.
even a high school and a golf course.
Hold on, a high school and a golf course?
Yeah.
So they just like created their own little world or something?
Right. It's fascinating.
Wow.
And at the heart of it all is Shillin Electric, their flagship company.
Oh,
And that's where things get really interesting.
Shillin Electric. That's the one that Steve is especially excited about, right?
Yes.
You mentioned it's publicly traded, which is great news for our listeners who like to follow the markets.
Yeah,
But I got to ask, what does Shillin actually do?
sure.
Heavy electrical equipment sounds kind of vague to me.
Yeah.
Are they like making toasters or something?
Well, their toasters are probably pretty heavy duty if they make them.
Okay.
But no, think bigger, way bigger.
Right.
Shillin is behind the stuff that keeps our modern world running.
Okay.
You know those giant transformers that you see at power plants?
Yeah.
The ones that look like they could power a small city.
And I always wonder what those things actually do.
Well, those are essential for moving electricity around.
Okay.
And Shillin is a major player in that game. They make transformers for everything from conventional power plants to get this nuclear power plants.
Nuclear grade transformers.
Mm-hmm.
That's serious stuff.
Absolutely. But it's not all about massive power grids.
Okay.
Shillin is also a leader in making the electrical components that are in our cars and motorcycles.
Right.
Think ignition systems, lights, sensors, all the things that make our vehicles go vroom.
So from powering cities to getting us from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Shillin's kind of everywhere, huh?
Exactly. And they're not just making the parts, they're pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Oh.
They're at the forefront of smart grid technology, which is all about making our energy systems more efficient
Okay.
and integrating renewable sources like solar and wind power.
So they're not just keeping the lights on. They're helping us build a more sustainable future.
They are.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. And, you know, in today's world, it's not just about making things, it's about making them smart.
Right.
And that's where Shillin's automation division comes in. They make the motors, controllers, and systems that are driving the automation revolution
Okay.
from factories to smart homes.
Hold on. So are they the brains behind those robots I keep seeing videos of? The ones that can like fold laundry and make coffee?
Maybe not those specific robots,
Okay.
but you're getting the idea.
Okay.
They provide the technology that makes machines do amazing things.
Right.
And that technology is showing up in more and more places every day.
Wow. I'm starting to see why Steve's so excited about this company.
Yeah.
It's like they're involved in every aspect of modern life.
Right.
That's wild.
And here's another interesting tidbit. The current chairman, Emmett Sue,
Okay.
third generation leadership.
Oh, wow.
That's a pretty impressive sign of stability and commitment to the company's vision.
Yeah, family businesses always have a different feel. You know,
Yeah.
it's like there's this extra layer of passion and dedication.
For sure.
But let's get back to the products for a second. What are some of the things that make Shillin stand out from the competition? What are they really good at?
One thing that really impresses me is their focus on quality and innovation.
Yeah.
They've built a reputation for producing incredibly reliable products that meet the highest international standards.
So they're not just churning out widgets. They're really thinking about how to make things better, safer,
Yeah.
more efficient.
Exactly. And they're constantly pushing the envelope with their R&D efforts.
Okay.
They have a dedicated team of engineers and researchers who are always exploring new technologies and finding ways to improve existing ones.
That's so important in today's world, right? You can't just rest on your laurels.
Right.
You got to keep innovating to stay ahead.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the big picture of Youngtae and Shillin's diverse portfolio,
Right.
but I'm itching to get into the details
Okay.
of their products and technologies.
Well, buckle up. We're about to dive into the fascinating world of Shillin's innovations. From those tiny components in our cars to the giant transformers that power our cities.
Okay.
And trust me, there are some real surprises in store.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
All right, so you mentioned Shillin has this reputation for quality and innovation.
Right.
But what does that actually look like in their products?
Sure.
Give me some examples.
Okay, let's start with something close to home, literally.
Okay.
Remember those low-voltage switch products we talked about?
Yeah.
The circuit breakers and switches that keep our homes and offices safe from electrical disasters?
Yeah, the things I never think about until the lights go out.
Exactly. Well, Shillin is taking those humble devices to a whole new level.
Okay.
They've developed these smart circuit breakers that can actually monitor your energy consumption
Okay.
and help you identify areas where you can save money.
Well, hold on. So my circuit breaker can tell me if I'm leaving the lights on too much.
It can.
That's pretty cool.
It is, and it's not just about saving money. It's about making our homes and buildings more energy efficient, which is good for the planet, too.
Right.
Shillin is also leading the way in developing arc fault circuit interrupters,
Okay.
or AFCIs, which are designed to prevent those dangerous electrical arcs that can cause fires.
Okay, I've definitely heard of those.
Yeah.
My electrician was raving about AFCIs when we rewired our kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
He said they're becoming standard in new homes because they're so much safer.
Exactly, and Shillin is one of the major players in that market. They're constantly pushing the boundaries of safety and reliability with their low-voltage products.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive when you think about how important those little devices are to our everyday lives.
You're right. It's easy to overlook those things.
Yeah.
But they're like the unsung heroes of the electrical world.
Totally.
But enough about circuit breakers. Let's talk about the big stuff.
Okay.
Like those massive transformers, Shillin is known for.
Sure.
What makes their transformers so special?
Think of a transformer like the heart of an electrical grid.
Okay.
It's responsible for taking the high-voltage electricity generated at power plants
Right.
and stepping it down to a lower voltage that can be safely used in our homes and businesses.
Okay.
And Shillin's transformers are known for being incredibly powerful, reliable, and efficient.
Okay, so I'm getting like a mental image of this giant metal box.
Yeah.
Humming away, keeping the lights on for an entire city.
Exactly.
Pretty impressive.
It is. And building a transformer that can handle that much power is no easy feat.
Right.
Shillin has mastered the art of designing and manufacturing these complex pieces of equipment,
Wow.
using advanced materials and construction techniques to ensure they can withstand extreme conditions
Okay.
and operate reliably for decades.
So they're not just slapping these things together.
No.
There's like real engineering expertise involved.
Absolutely. And remember those nuclear-grade transformers we mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
Those are a whole other level of complexity. They have to meet incredibly stringent safety and performance standards because, well, nuclear power is no joke.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
It's kind of mind-boggling to think about the level of precision and expertise
Yeah,
that goes into building something like that.
for sure.
But it's not all about brute force,
Yeah,
right? You mentioned Shillin is also a leader in smart grid technology.
right.
What does that mean in practice?
Well, that's where things get really exciting.
Okay.
Smart grids are all about using digital technology
Okay.
to make our energy systems more efficient, reliable, and sustainable.
Got it.
Think of it like giving the electrical grid a brain.
A brain.
Yeah.
Okay, now you've got my attention.
So with a smart grid, you can do things like monitor energy consumption in real time,
Okay.
identify and isolate faults quickly, and optimize the flow of electricity to where it's needed most.
Wow.
And Shillin is developing the hardware and software that makes all of this possible.
So they're kind of like the architects of a smarter, more sustainable energy future.
Exactly. And one of the biggest challenges with renewable energy sources, like solar and wind power, is that they're intermittent.
Yeah.
The sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow right.
Yeah, that's always been the knock against renewables.
Yeah.
They're not always there when you need them.
Well, Shillin's smart grid technology is helping to solve that problem.
Okay.
They're developing systems that can store energy when it's plentiful
Right.
and release it when demand is high, which helps to smooth out those fluctuations
Okay.
and make renewable energy a more reliable part of the mix.
So they're not just building the transformers.
Right.
They're figuring out how to make the whole grid work better with renewables.
Exactly.
That's pretty forward thinking.
It is, and it's not just about technology.
Okay.
They're also working with utilities and governments around the world
Wow.
to develop policies and regulations that support the transition to a smarter, more sustainable energy future.
So they're not just building products, they're actively shaping the future of the energy industry.
Yeah.
They are.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. But, we can't forget about Shillin's other major area of expertise, automation.
Right.
What are some of the cool things they're doing in that space?
Yeah. What are they up to? Well, you know how everyone's talking about robots and automation these days?
Yeah.
Shillin is right in the thick of it, providing the motors, controllers, and systems that make those robots move and do their thing. You mentioned earlier that they have manufacturing facilities in several countries.
Right.
Why is that important?
Yeah. Why is that?
Well, for a company like Shillin, having a global presence is essential for several reasons.
Okay.
First, it allows them to be closer to their customers around the world. Right. Which reduces transportation costs and lead times.
That makes sense. Nobody wants to wait months for a giant transformer to be shipped from across the ocean.
Exactly. Second, it gives them access to a wider pool of talent and resources.
Okay.
They can tap into the expertise of engineers and manufacturers in different countries.
Right.
Which helps them to stay at the forefront of innovation.
So they're not just building factories in other countries.
Yep.
They're building partnerships and collaborating with experts around the world.
Precisely. And third, having a global manufacturing footprint gives them more flexibility and resilience.
Okay.
If there's a disruption in one region, they can shift production to another facility to minimize the impact on their business.
Okay, so it's about being closer to customers.
Yeah.
Tapping into global talent and building a more resilient supply chain.
Right.
That's a pretty smart strategy.
It is, but how do they ensure that they're maintaining their high standards of quality and innovation across all of their manufacturing facilities?
That's a good question. How do they do it?
Well, Shillin has a very strong corporate culture that emphasizes quality, precision, and continuous improvement.
Okay.
They have rigorous quality control processes in place at all of their facilities, and they invest heavily in training their employees to ensure that everyone is on the same page.
Right.
When it comes to meeting their high standards.
So it's not just about having the right technology and equipment.
Right.
It's about having a culture that values excellence.
Exactly. And that's something that's been ingrained in the company from the very beginning,
Right.
Thanks to the vision of its founder.
Speaking of the founder, you mentioned earlier that the current chairman, Emmett Sue,
Yes.
is third-generation leadership.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty remarkable.
It is.
It speaks volumes about the company's stability and commitment to its core values.
It really does. And, in many Asian cultures, family businesses are seen as particularly trustworthy and reliable.
Right.
Because they have a long-term perspective.
Yeah.
They're not just focused on making a quick profit. They're thinking about building a legacy that will last for generations.
Yeah, there's a sense of stewardship that comes with a family business. A responsibility to carry on the tradition and build upon the successes of the past.
Yeah.
But it's not just about tradition, right? Shillin seems to be embracing innovation and change as well.
Absolutely. They're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible while still staying true to their core values of quality, reliability, and customer focus.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty impressive balancing act.
It is. They're a fascinating example of a company that's successfully navigating the challenges of globalization and technological disruption while still maintaining a strong sense of identity and purpose.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's really inspiring to see a company that's so committed to excellence and making a positive impact on the world.
Well, I have to say, I'm thoroughly impressed with what we've learned about Shillin Electric today.
Yeah, me too.
They're clearly a company that's at the forefront of innovation, and their work is having a profound impact on the world around us.
Right.
But before we wrap things up, I'm curious to hear your final thoughts on what makes this company so special.
Sure.
What are the key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, I think one of the most impressive things about Shillin is their ability to combine technical expertise with a deep understanding of customer needs.
Okay.
They're not just building products for the sake of building products. They're solving real-world problems and making a tangible difference in people's lives.
That's a point that really resonates with me.
Yeah.
They seem to be approaching innovation from a very human-centric perspective.
Exactly. And another key takeaway is their commitment to sustainability.
Okay.
They're not just talking about it. They're actively developing and implementing technologies that are helping to build a more sustainable future for all of us.
Yeah, that's a theme that's come up again and again throughout our conversation today.
Yeah.
It's clear that sustainability is deeply embedded in their corporate DNA.
It is. And finally, I think it's important to note their remarkable global reach and their ability to adapt and thrive in diverse markets.
Yeah.
They're a true testament to the power of globalization and cross-cultural collaboration.
Absolutely. They've managed to build a truly global enterprise while still maintaining a strong sense of their Taiwanese heritage.
It's a remarkable achievement. They're a shining example of a company that's doing it right on so many levels.
Well, folks, there you have it. Shillin Electric, a company that's powering our world, automating our industries, and shaping a more sustainable future. It's been an incredible journey exploring their world today, and I have to say I'm truly inspired by their vision, their dedication, and their unwavering commitment to excellence.
Me too. It's been an honor to share their story with our listeners.
A huge thanks to our friend Steve for putting this company on our radar.
Absolutely. He's got a real knack for finding these incredible Taiwanese businesses that are making waves on the global stage.
Now, before we sign off, I want to remind our listeners that Shillin Electric is a publicly traded company. So if you're interested in learning even more about their financials and growth prospects, you can easily find information online.
That's right. Their stock symbol is 1503 on the Taiwan Stock Exchange. So feel free to do your own research and see if Shillin might be a good fit for your investment portfolio.
And on that note, we wrap up another episode of the Board Business Channel.
All right.
We hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of Shillin Electric. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.